it's the Shooting Guy. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you're a subscriber, big thumbs up to you. Appreciate it a lot. And thank you that you are a subscriber and part of the Shooting Guy compound and family. If you are only stopping by today and you're not a subscriber, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. You could have gone anywhere, but you decided to stop along here to see what was going on, and I do appreciate it a lot. Consider subscribing because, well, frankly, if you stop by here, you probably have interest in knives and guns and outdoors and camping and backpacking and all that good stuff. And I think you might find this place of some interest as well. Please consider subscribing. Anyway, what do we got for you today? Got another cold steel. That's right. I like my cold steel stuff. I like the way they're boxed and put together. One of the things I like about it is, and I kind of find it entertaining to some degree, is the caution. You know, extremely sharp, don't cut yourself. I guess that's for the guys out there that don't realize they just bought a knife and they might actually cut themselves. Anyway, what is it today? What are we showing off? Yeah, they call it the Maker2. That's right. There you go. Evidently there's a Maker3, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a Maker1, and the Maker1 is made out of a different kind of steel. The Maker2 and 3 have this kind of steel right here. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But as I look at it, it's a pretty good sized knife, not bad at all. Fits well in my hand anyway. Very narrow handle, which is kind of nice, and it has it's kind of got a palm swell that goes sideways. I like that, and it kind of goes this way a little bit. Fits good in my hand, nice and grippy. Got these ridges, got this nice texture. Wow. I could just sit here and fondle this all day. Is this a fondling knife? It might be. It might be. It is. It does fit in very well. I like the way this thing curves down here, at least for me. It's nice and secure. This is in my specs, but I might as well mention it now. It is a full tang, and inside of that, go ahead, focus on me there. There you go. Full tang. You can see the steel in there through that lanyard hole. Throw yourself a lanyard on there, and you got yourself a good little knife. What is it actually? I think it's kind of a boot knife, a very large boot knife. But if you look at it, and this is what Cold Steel says about it, it has what's referred to as a scandi grind. And they put scandi in quotes, and that's because I discovered it really isn't scandi grind. Here's the Mora Knife, which is a true scandi grind, and that's going to be a 22-degree bevel. And I found out that this isn't 22 degrees, and I'll show you how I found that out later on. So it's not true scandi in that term, but it is, you know, nice curved, rounded bevel, and very, very sharp. I do like the sheath. We'll get to this in a little bit more, but I might as well get to it now. Secure X sheath. It's nice. It's a little unorthodox. I do like this clip. Boy, I'm telling you, I'm going to roll some footage here, but when we got this thing clipped on, it stays on. It's tough to come off. And what I think it's really designed for, because it is referred to as a boot knife, at least on the Cold Steel website. You can clip this down onto your boot, and it's not easily removed, so it's not going to fall out. As a matter of fact, if you look closely, there's some ears there, and you can pull this whole thing out. I'm not going to do it for you now, but you can pull this whole thing out, flip it around, and put it in from up here. That way you can load it this way in case you wanted to, I don't know, why would you want to do that? So that you could clip up this way and have it point tip down. I'm not too sure, but it gives you the option. And I'm sure you can find ways to clip this on your shoe, on your boot, on your jacket, on your belt, on your pants, whatever. Nice. It's unorthodox. Why is that? Well, because as you can see, it comes up over the handle, which isn't necessarily the way a lot of knives and sheaths are made these days. However, what I find interesting is if I grab onto this whole thing just like that, and I put most of my pressure back here and not a whole lot of pressure up here, it comes out very, very nicely. Another thing, let me just make note. Okay, it rattles a little bit, so you're going to give yourself away if you're trying to be totally concealed, but my point here is it's not falling out of there unless you give that thing a good tug. So it does fit in the sheath rather nicely. Let's get to the specs. Blade length, 5.5 inches. Overall length, 10 1/4 inches. Even though it's made in Taiwan, the steel is German 4116. The weight is 5.4 ounces. And for a long blade like that, this is pretty light. Blade thickness, 3 millimeters. Why millimeters? Handle length, 4 3/4 inches long. Made out of a high impact polypropylene. Nice and grippy. Secure X sheath, very nice. Unorthodox, but nice. Let's get to the pros. You know, this knife is a thin, lightweight knife that is good for self-protection. Could even be used at the campsite in a camping situation. Might want to hunt with it. Nice tip. I do like the way that thing is shaped up there. Nice belly on there. You could actually even use this for a skinning knife. It actually, to me though, is a little big. So maybe the Peacemaker 3, which is a little bit smaller than this. I don't have one handy. Maybe I'll, hey Cold Steel, if you're listening, send me one of them. I'll do a review. Anyway, you know, it's a little too long, but it probably could be used as a hunting knife if that's the only thing you had. I can kind of see getting in there and gutting a fish maybe with that if I absolutely needed to. Sharp. Look at this, guys. Wow. Very sharp. Now, was it that sharp out of the box? Yeah. Look at that. Goes right through. I'm going to roll some footage. You can see me using it and throwing it. We're throwing the knife. Actually, it worked pretty good as a throwing knife. Is it balanced enough for throwing? Let's find out.
Yep.
Actually, it worked pretty good as a throwing knife. You get this thing back here, and you hold it like this, and you give it a whirl, get a spin on it. It sticks in there really good. Ooh, that was interesting.
Nice.
Well, it took a few tumbles. And I bashed up the edge pretty good. So I put another edge on it. As a matter of fact, take a look at this right here. I'm showing you the edge. We haven't gotten to the cons yet, but I'm going to jump right to 4116 steel and show you what happens when the knife hits the ground or hits a piece of wood that is really hard or a piece of metal. That's what happens. But fortunately, I was able to put an edge back on that thing. And so that could be a plus. It's 4116. That is, it sharpens up pretty fast. Nicely concealed. When you get that thing put in the sheath, it's invisible when you have some clothes over it or if it's in your boot. Nicely concealed. Fits in the boot quite nicely. For about 25 bucks, it's actually a pretty good price for what you get. I think it's a good value knife. Throw this in the car, throw this in the truck, put it in your fishing gear, put it in your boot, put it out, you know, you're out hiking around, keep it with you, personal protection if necessary. Good value. I'd say it's right up there with the Mora knife. I mentioned that before, value-wise. I mean, this thing here was $14, and this one here is this is not stainless steel, this is high carbon steel, so I got to keep the thing oiled up. Stainless steel, can use it around the water on this Peacemaker, and you won't have to worry about keeping it oiled and keeping it from rusting. So good price for what you get. A very secure sheath. Yeah, I have no complaints about it. Some may say that rattling bothers them. I don't. Got a nice drip hole so the water doesn't drain out of the thing in case you do get it wet. It's made for moist weather. Think about that for just a minute. Let's talk about the cons. I have noticed that at the pommel end, don't use it as a pommel because that stainless steel is going to break through that rubber if you're not too careful. So not very durable right there. Be careful with that. Okay, I mentioned it before. It's that 4116. Guys, look, I dented the tip, busted up the edge. Oh dear, it was a mess. What I ended up doing was putting it in my grinder and ground a brand new edge on it. Found out that it wasn't a scandi grind like they say it is, or at least they suggest it is, because it's not 22 degrees. It's probably more along the lines of 17 degrees, but I didn't reprofile that edge. I just went with the 22 thinking it was scandi. Ouch, I almost cut myself there. And did I cut myself? Wow. You saw it here, folks. Be careful with your knives. Yikes. I guess that's for the guys out there that don't realize they just bought a knife and they might actually cut themselves. So my only point here is, why not make it from 1095? I've really come to enjoy 1095. Or SK5, those two carbon steels. Now I can understand if you wanted to make this rust resistant, corrosion resistant, then go with an Oz 8, you know? And I think many would agree that the 4116 is a lot like 440B steel. So it's soft, but it does a good job of resisting rust, and it's a good budget steel. It is one nice knife for the money. You could spend more, but if you don't have to, and you get a knife like this and you know some of the limitations, you'll be fine. I think you'll enjoy it. That's all I got for you today. It's me, the shooting guy. To you, my viewers and subscribers, thank you so much. Thank you a lot. I appreciate it. Come back, see us again. We'll have more for you next time on The Shooting Guy. God bless you, God bless America, and may America bless God. Pretty sharp. That's not what I had in mind.